Admiral Vex Torrens stood on the command bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Dominion. His four eyes scanned the holographic display before him. The collective Armada stretched across the void of space like a magnificent carpet of destruction. 3,000 warships. The greatest fleet ever assembled by the collective in its 10,000 years of galactic conquest. He clicked his mandibles together in satisfaction. The small blue planet called Earth hung in the distance. It was protected by nothing more than a pitiful defense grid and perhaps 200 ships. The humans had refused to surrender. They had rejected the collective's generous offer of peaceful absorption into their empire. Now they would pay the price for their stubbornness. Admiral, his second-in-command Crix Alla, spoke through the communication link. All fleet commanders report ready. The humans have positioned their defensive fleet in standard formation around their homeworld. Vex Torrens made a sound that passed for laughter among his species. Standard formation. These creatures had only discovered faster than light travel 60 years ago. They were infants playing at war. The collective had conquered over 400 species across the galaxy. Each one had eventually bowed before their superior technology and numbers. "Open a communication channel to the human commander," Vex Torrens ordered. He wanted to give them one final chance to surrender. It was tradition. It also made the eventual conquest feel more justified. The holographic display flickered and shifted. A human female appeared before him. She wore a dark uniform with golden markings. Her face was calm and showed no signs of fear. This irritated Vex Torrens slightly. Most species trembled when they saw the collective Armada for the first time. "I am Admiral Vex Torrens of the Galactic Collective. You are outnumbered 15 to 1. Your technology is inferior. Your civilization is young and inexperienced in the ways of galactic warfare. Surrender now, and your people will be treated with dignity. Resist, and you will be destroyed." The human female smiled. It was not a nervous smile. It was the smile of someone who knew something he did not. "I am Admiral Sarah Chun of the Terran Defense Force. Thank you for your offer, Admiral, but I'm afraid we must decline. You see, you have made a critical error in your intelligence gathering." Vex Torrens' mandibles twitched. "What error?" "You assume that the ships you see here are all we have. You assume that our defense fleet represents our full military capacity." She paused, and her smile grew wider. "It does not." Before Vex Torrens could respond, alarms began screaming across every ship in his armada. His sensor officer shouted in a voice filled with panic. "Admiral!" Massive hyperspace signatures detected. Multiple emergence points forming all around our fleet. Vex Torrens spun toward the tactical display. His four eyes went wide with shock. The fabric of space itself was tearing open in dozens of locations. Massive energy readings unlike anything he had ever seen were pouring through the rifts. The first ship emerged from hyperspace directly above the Eternal Dominion. Vex Torrens stared at it in complete disbelief. It was enormous. It dwarfed even his flagship, which was the largest vessel in the collective fleet. The ship was built like a weapon given form. Its hull was covered in armor plating that looked thick enough to withstand a star-going supernova. Weapon ports lined every surface. It radiated power and menace in equal measure. "What is that thing?" Crix Alla whispered over the communication link. More ships emerged. 10, 20, 50. Each one was a monster of steel and fire. They formed a ring around the collective Armada like predators surrounding their prey. "Those are Terran Dreadnoughts." Admiral Chun's voice came through the still-open channel. Her tone was pleasant, almost conversational. "We built them in secret shipyards on the far side of our solar system and in deep space facilities, scattered across nearby star systems. You never found them because you were too busy being arrogant." Vex Torrens' tactical officer was shaking visibly. "Admiral, I'm reading their weapon systems. Their main cannons are powered by contained quantum singularities. A single shot from one of those dreadnoughts could destroy half our fleet." "That's not possible," Vex Torrens said, but his voice lacked conviction. He could see the ships with his own eyes. They were very real and very present. Humans are young in terms of galactic history, Admiral Chun continued. But we learned something important in our short time among the stars. We learned that the galaxy is a dangerous place. We learned that the collective was coming for us eventually. So we prepared. Another voice joined the communication channel. It was deeper and belonged to an older human male. Admiral Vextorin, this is Grand Admiral Marcus Stone of the Terran Strategic Command. Those 60 dreadnoughts you see are just the beginning. We have another 200 currently being activated across our territory. Each one was designed specifically to counter collective technology. Your shields are useless against our quantum cannons. Your armor will not withstand our Hellfire missiles. Your point defense systems cannot track our fighter swarms. Vextorin felt something he had never experienced before in his long military career. He felt genuine fear. "You're bluffing," he said. But even he didn't believe his own words. "We don't bluff," Grand Admiral Stone replied. "We're humans. We prepare. We plan. We build. And when threatened, we fight with everything we have. Your collective has spent 10,000 years conquering species that never saw you coming. Species that had no time to prepare. You gave us 60 years warning. That was your mistake. The dreadnoughts were now fully in position. Their weapon systems were charging. Vextorin could see the energy readings climbing higher and higher on his tactical display. The collective has never lost a war, Vextorin said, his voice weak. There's a first time for everything, Admiral Chun replied. One of the dreadnoughts fired a warning shot. A beam of pure destructive energy lanced across space and vaporized a small patrol vessel. At the edge of the collective formation, the ship simply ceased to exist. No debris, no explosion. Just gone. The communication channels exploded with panicked transmissions from other collective commanders. Ships began breaking formation. Some tried to flee toward the edge of the system. But the dreadnoughts had positioned themselves perfectly. There was no escape route. Admiral Vextorin, Grand Admiral Stone spoke again. You have exactly 5 minutes to order your entire fleet to stand down and prepare for boarding. If you do not comply, we will open fire with all weapons. Your 3,000 ships will be reduced to atoms before you can even finish charging your own weapons. Vextorin looked at his tactical display. He looked at the massive dreadnoughts surrounding his fleet. He thought about the 10,000 years of collective military tradition. He thought about his personal honor and the honor of his species. Then he thought about his crew, about the millions of soldiers and sailors serving on the ships under his command. They had families. They had lives. They had trusted him to lead them wisely. How did you hide them from us? He asked quietly. Our intelligence network spanned the entire galaxy. We have spies in every major civilization. How did we not see this coming? Admiral Chun answered him. Because you didn't take us seriously. You saw a young species with primitive technology, and you assumed we were no threat. You assumed we would be easy prey, like all the others. But humans have a long history of being underestimated. We've spent our entire existence as a species fighting for survival. First against our own planet, then against each other. Now against the galaxy itself. She paused, and her eyes grew cold. We are very good at surviving, Admiral. We are even better at war. Vextorin felt the weight of his decision pressing down on him. He could order his fleet to attack. They would die fighting. There would be honor in that. But there would also be senseless death. Millions of his people erased from existence for nothing more than pride. And if we surrender, he asked, what happens to us? You will be treated fairly, Grand Admiral Stone replied. Your crews will be detained but not harmed. Your ships will be impounded. You yourself will be placed under house arrest until diplomatic negotiations between our governments can be completed. This does not have to end in bloodshed, Admiral. We are offering you a way out. Vextorin closed all 4 of his eyes. He thought about the High Council back on the collective homeworld. They would be furious. They would call him a coward and a traitor. His name would be removed from the records of honorable warriors. But his people would live. All ships, he said slowly into the fleet-wide communication channel. This is Admiral Vextorin. Stand down. Power down all weapons. Prepare to receive Terran boarding parties. That is a direct order. The response was immediate chaos. Some commanders protested. Others demanded explanations. A few tried to argue that they could still fight. The decision is made, Vextorin said firmly. I will not lead our people to pointless destruction. We are beaten. Accept it with dignity. On the bridge of her own flagship, Admiral Chun allowed herself a moment of relief. The plan had worked. The years of secret construction, the hidden shipyards, the careful distribution of misinformation. Everything had come together at exactly the right moment. Admiral, her tactical officer reported, the collective fleet is standing down. They're powering down their weapons across the board. Begin boarding operations, she ordered, and send a message back to Earth Command. Tell them the collective Armada has surrendered. Tell them humanity has just changed the balance of power in the galaxy forever. Grand Admiral Stone's voice came through her personal channel. Well done, Sarah. You handled that beautifully. Thank you, sir. But this is just the beginning. The collective won't take this defeat lying down. They'll send more fleets. They'll adapt their tactics. This war is far from over. I know, Stone replied. But today, we proved something important. We proved that humanity cannot be conquered. We proved that we will never be easy prey. The galaxy is watching. And they just learned what happens when you threaten Earth. As the Terran boarding parties began securing collective ships, Vextorin stood alone on his bridge. His crew had been taken away. He was left with nothing but his thoughts and the distant hum of the human soldiers moving through his ship. He looked out the viewport at the massive Terran Dreadnoughts. They hung in space like sleeping giants. So much power. So much destructive potential. And the humans had built them in secret while pretending to be weak. They had played the long game. They had baited the collective into overconfidence. And then they had sprung their trap with perfect precision. For the first time in 10,000 years, the Galactic Collective had lost a battle without firing a single shot. And Vextorin knew with terrible certainty that this was only the first of many defeats to come. The humans had announced themselves to the galaxy. They had proven that they were not prey. They were predators. And the galaxy would never be the same again.